I just spent 2.5 hours with someone who makes David Goggins' stay hard lifestyle look like a warm up. You spend 10 minutes with this guy and your whole outlook on life changes, and you just become mentally tough hearing him speak. And he shared some really good lessons with me that give you just a sense of being unstoppable. So I'll give you a quick resume of this guy, quick rundown here. Age 1. Diagnosed with a fatal disease, doctors said I'd die by age 2. So for context, he can only move his face, but he can feel everything. He has spinal muscular atrophy. So he can feel everything, can't move only his face. Age 2, got pneumonia, but survived. Proved them wrong. So already at age 2, he is basically at David Goggins' level of mental toughness. Age 4, got pneumonia again, still survived. Pneumonia is basically where your lungs fill with mucus and he couldn't even cough it out. But more on that later. There's so many crazy parts to his story. Age 7, major spine surgery. Pain so bad I begged to die. And again, he can't even move to adjust his body or anything, right? So age 10, so poor we can't afford food. The church takes care of us. Age 13, mother remarries. Discovers her new husband's brother is a cartel boss in Mexico, spending summers with a cartel in Chihuahua, Mexico. Age 15, more pneumonia. Nearly died this time. Age 17, stepfather is beating my mother. I threatened to hire a hitman to kill him. He runs. Age 21, real estate developer. Become a millionaire for the first time, and later on, he loses everything. Spoiler alert. Age 24, body crushed in car accident. 37 broken bones, 12 months of narcotics. He told me that they did surgery on him without anesthesia, so he felt everything. Age 28, launched Smart Blogger, made $500,000 in 9 months. Age 35, a doctor and I fall in love, thinking about getting married. She's brutally assaulted, brain damage, schizophrenia. I lose her. Age 40, reach milestone of $15 million earned online. So this is what this guy looks like. And this is what he looks like today in the second image. And why am I making the comparison to David Goggins? Well, here's what I thought about. So first of all, massive respect to David Goggins. There's no shade, there's no competition or anything like that. The key difference that I'm noticing is that David Goggins willingly puts himself through all this stuff, which is, I think, the very admirable piece about him. And when you hear him talk, it feels like he's preparing his mind. He's building the calluses so that he's mentally tough for when bad things happen. It's almost like he's preparing for hell. And the difference between him and John Morrow is that John Morrow is going through hell. Right? Like, that's while David Goggins is preparing for all these rough things to happen, and he actually has a really great life, like everything's okay. Like, that's like, it feels like a warm up. It feels like he's prepping for it. He's training it. Whereas John Morrow he's on the battlefield, right? And it's almost like when David Goggins finishes his 100-mile run, it doesn't stop there for somebody like John Morrow, right? And he is also somebody who chooses mental toughness every time too, because I'll give you a few more like times where I guess he chose to keep going, right? So as a kid, he had pneumonia 16 times. And pneumonia is basically a death sentence for somebody like him. The doctors told his mom very early on, if he gets pneumonia, it's over, because the lungs fill with mucus. Normally you would just cough it out, but he can't, right? And they said, yeah, he's going to die as a child because he won't be able to fight it. But his mom looked the doctor dead in the eye and said, he won't have to fight it. I'll fight it for him. And so basically, every year of his childhood, he would get pneumonia. And she would break his ribs every 2 hours, even in the middle of the night, to push the mucus out of the lungs. And the doctors told him, like, hey, just stop. Like, just let him die. And his mom basically forced him to never, ever give up. And that's one of the quotes that he told me about that, is like a defining quote for his life is never, never give up. Very simple quote, very powerful. And he also named his dog after Winston, which is really beautiful. But it's like this ultimate defiance that he, as a child, developed, right? And he told me also now he has all this inner scarring in his lungs. Then later on, when he had the car crash, there was just some drunk driver who hit his car. He was being driven by someone else, right? Because he can't drive. And he had 37 broken bones. Because again, the car plows into him and he can't move. And he feels everything. And the doctors told him, hey, imagine you took a sock and you filled it with marbles. Those are your bones. Like, there are so many breaks in your bones. It's a complete, like, your body is shattered. And they had to operate on him without anesthesia because he wouldn't be able to take it, or there was some complication with it. And he was like, that was absolute torture. But I was like, I'm gonna keep going. And then he whips out this story with the whole cartel thing, which first time I met him, and I interviewed him before in the past on the channel too, he didn't tell that story. But he was basically living the 48 laws of power as a child, right? So again, his mom's new husband was beating her. He was abusive, right? And he was part of the cartel. His brother was the cartel boss. And he was telling the story of how he was just watching it. And he was just in the room while his mom was being beat, the hero of his story, that, you know, she never gave up on him. And he just sees her being beat up by this guy and he can't do anything about it. He's just sitting there. And he just felt so helpless. And what he ended up doing was he ended up making friends with a specific guy in the cartel. His name was Eduardo, who was one of the hitmen, right? Like a guy who you sent to, hey, go take care of this one. Because he knew that he didn't like his mom's husband. And yeah, he was telling me about all these lessons of power that he learned, right? Like, strategic relationships are power. And you want to specifically make friends with your enemies. And you want to know who likes who's against who. So you know who to strategically partner up with. And he was 17 when he did that. And there was this point where his mom was in the hospital. And he was visiting her because she had to get her ear stitched back on after she was beat by the guy. And John, as a 17-year-old, talked to her mom's husband and said, okay, you have 3 options. Option 1, you can kill me now. Option 2, you leave and you'll never come back. Option 3, by tomorrow morning, Eduardo is going to take care of you. And the guy, he just turned completely pale. And that's the last time they saw him. And one more quick story of this guy. He outsmarted the medical system. When he was 18, he got access to Medicare, which is basically this program where they cover you with pre-existing conditions. It was the only insurance he could get so that he could pay anywhere between $100,000 and $300,000 in medical bills per year, because he had to have people take care of him, different drugs, different medications, and surgeries, whatever, right? $100,000 to $300,000 per year was covered by Medicare. Great, you'd think. But there was just one caveat, which was he could not earn more than $700 per month. So basically, he was forced to live in poverty. And if he made anything more than that, he would lose Medicare and die. And he was in this predicament where he would either make no money or he would make $300,000 a year all at once so that he could pay for his own medical bills and get out of poverty, right? And then he just devised, like, anyone else would just go, okay, I've been dealt horrible cards in life. There's nothing really I can do. It's not really worth it. But he was like, no, I'm gonna push life as hard as I can and see this as a game and see how far I can push it with this stack of cards that I've been dealt. And he devised this plan where he built relationships with entrepreneurs and bloggers, and he would work for them for free. And for years, he would write articles for their blogs, make them millions of dollars. And the only condition was, hey, one day I'm going to ask you for a very big favor and you can't say no. And so for years, he just made these people a ton of money, worked for free. And then one day he cashed in his favor and he said, hey, I want you to promote me to your email list and endorse me. And then he got 500 clients, or like inquiries, right? People wanting to work with him all at once. And then he made this big move where he got all these clients and then decided to move to Mexico because medical bills are much cheaper there. Like medical staff is like a few bucks an hour, right? So someone to take care of him. And he went back to Mexico and he was crossing the Mexican border and he was like, oh man, like I hope the cartel doesn't come after me. And long story short, he made it all happen. And one more badass thing I'll tell you about him. When he was in his 30s, one of his friends came up to him and was like, hey man, you are crushing it in all areas of your life, except for one. You have millions of dollars, you have all these great relationships. Why don't you have a girlfriend? Like, why is this the only area of your life where you are petrified? And he was like, well, look at me. Like, anything that a woman describes that she wants, none of this is in any of their description. And his friend just challenged him and he was like, you know what? Where can I take this? And so for 30 days, he approached 10 women a day. Every woman that he saw, even if he wasn't attracted to her, he would ask her, hey, you want to have coffee with me? And he ended up going on 3 dates a day. And long story short, he got into, I think, 4 relationships that were longer than 2 years. And at some point he even mentioned, at some point I was really depressed and I was sleeping with all these women and and I'm like, I didn't have the guts to ask, like, hey, what does that look like? Hold up. Because he just told this really vulnerable story of how he lost one of his girlfriends to, again, like adversity, a tragic accident. I asked him about David Goggins and he was, I was like, what do you think of David Goggins? Like, you're kind of David Goggins if he was thrown into the battlefield of, like, not just callous your mind in case life gets bad, but okay, you're in the shit. And he was like, I've been where David Goggins has been and he seems very traumatized, right? Like, he's very much driven by his demons, his shadow side. And apparently John Morrow, he did a lot of therapy. We talked about all that. And there's like a next level, right? There's like a next level that is available because at first he learned how to completely disassociate from his feelings and not react to pain. So he would be able to feel the pain and it would feel like a distant sensation, right? But he wouldn't react to it. He would be able to just shut it off. And he believes that's where David Goggins is. And he's allowed himself to feel again. He went through all that stuff again, felt all his feelings again, which was one of the most difficult things he's ever done, he said. And now he's opened himself up to feeling love again, feeling connection again, feeling human again, like actually allowing the ups and downs. And now he's at this point where he's able to shut off his emotions when he needs to. And then once the event is over, he goes and processes it. And he's back in human mode again, right? Where he feels things. He feels the beauty and joy of life. And he can also like go through the suffering, right? And so, I just threw a lot at you. What's your reaction to all this?
Jesus Christ, dude!
I could keep going. There's so many things I haven't told that he mentioned.
I like that the final boss for him after all that was still like asking a girl out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he threatened to kill a man before he could ask a girl out. Like, that's fucking crazy. I'm so grateful that I have a life where I'm allowed to be 100 times the pussy that he is. I mean, he's not a pussy at all. So 0 times 100 still 0. But you know what I mean? Like, like I am so bro. Compared to that, I'm the biggest quivering bitch on the planet, and I'm doing fine, and I'm grateful for that. That is so insane.
That's one of the things I asked him too. I'm like, hey, there's this question that pops up in my mind that I don't know if I should ask it, but it's the first thing that comes up in my mind. Do you ever look at the average person and think, shut the fuck up. Stop being such a bitch. And he was like, actually, no. But I do have a passionate response when I see somebody who has the same condition as me or is in a wheelchair and they're in a victim mindset. And I'm like, that's not me, by the way. I don't think that, John. I would never think that about somebody who's in a wheelchair or who's worse off than me, but you can. And so why? What's behind that? And he's just saying, yeah, I mean, people expect so little from people with disabilities, from people like us. And that's one of the, and everyone tells him like, yeah, you can't do it. The government is keeping you down. The medical system is horrible. But he's like a living example of somebody who made it through so much bad stuff. And honestly, he is like, that's his tagline on his Twitter is like, hey, I'm here to take away all your excuses. And it's true. Like anyone who complains about anything, like, okay, this guy did it. What are you going to say? But like, how much more adversity would he have to have for you to go, you know what? Maybe there's such a thing as having an agency and making shit happen.
Dude, because he literally is like that. Like when we got to age 7 on the resume, and it's like he had pneumonia for the 10th time, and he broke all his bones and everything. I was like, I stubbed my toe when I was 7, pretty bad. That sucked. Like he's God's most unlucky child. Like that's, and I'm really not talking shit. Like this is an admiration. Like that guy is a badass, but he's so unlucky. But he dealt with it. Does he see it as unlucky, or does he see it as like I was given these obstacles on purpose to overcome them, or is that just he's like I don't care why I was given them, I'm just going to overcome them anyway?
I didn't ask him about that. It's like a tough question to ask someone, right? Like, hey, don't you think you're like super unlucky? Like, you know, I would have had to phrase it differently, but
bro, what'd you do to God in your last life? What'd you do?
Yeah, but I think he would look at it as it is what it is, and
right.
I'm here for a reason like this, and I'm gonna make the best of it. One of the questions I did have was, what are your spiritual beliefs? Because I think that's oftentimes what keeps people going. I'm not saying religious, I'm saying spiritual. Do you believe in an afterlife? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in, hey, we're put on earth to fulfill a certain purpose and this is mine? But I'm assuming that's the case. But I did ask him, what are like the biggest lessons that you learned from all this? Because everyone goes through adversity, and not only did he get by and survive, no, he thrived. He didn't just shoot for, I'm at rock bottom, let's get back to ground level. No, he shot for the stars. He was like, I want to make millions of dollars. I want to have girlfriends. I want to travel the world. He did all of it. And when he was in the car accident, when he was having surgery for the nth time, when all these things happened, he not just said, how can I get back to normal? No, how can I like crush it? And so these are the few things that he told me. Number one, the key is not just enduring adversity, but using it, right? So when life hits you, there's always an opening. And it's this boxing analogy that you used, where when a boxer punches you, he's exposed, right? There's an opportunity for you to do a counterpunch. And he always looks for that counterpunch. When shit hits the fan, he asks himself, not just how can I overcome this? How can I push back on the punch, but dodge the punch and come in from the side and come in with the right hook. So, the medical system, for example, forced him to think long-term and invest into relationships, right? So that's a unique opportunity he had. Or he even told me, like, yeah, I mean, I've had this adversity happen in my life. Well, the counterpunch is, now I have a dope story and I can come on a podcast like yours and use that story, right? Like, okay, let me milk that. And I think that's actually one of the admirable things about him. His main thing is not being a motivational speaker and like being on stage and be like, hey, look how bad I have it and how I made it through. You can too. No, that's just a side gig. That's just dudes like me who are annoying him, just like, hey, can you tell your story? It's really inspiring. Can you come on my podcast? No, he talks about blogging, making money, AI, you know? And another thing too is, another counterpunch is, because he can't move, he had an advantage to other writers, because writers block and the war of art is such a big thing. You have the inner resistance, and like the average writer can sit down and just write for 4 hours and just sit down, stare at a blank page. Well, the thing is, he doesn't really have a choice. He has his medical assistant put him in front of a laptop, and then he stares at a blank page, and I can't get up and distract myself. I'm just gonna write now, right? And he wrote daily, and at one point he was averaging 1 million views an article, right? So he was just a productivity machine. And so he says, when life hits you, look for the counterpunch.
Sorry to interrupt. How does he write if he can only move his head?
Yeah. So, well, not even his head, just his face. He has a mouse cursor that he moves with his lips, and then it's dictation, right? So he moves the mouse like this, and then he opens a new doc, and then he voice dictates it, and you can even hear it in the way that he speaks, because he speaks as if he's dictating a voice dictation, right? So he really thinks each sentence, and he then says the sentence, and then there's a break, and he thinks about the next sentence. So you could kind of tell.
Oddly enough, that's a superpower, because if you can write in a way that sounds like just a spoken voice, and it's like truly your voice, that's the best writing.
Yeah, he's an incredible storyteller. Because it's such a pain in the ass for him to write a paragraph and then go in and edit a piece of it, you know? Like, he had to learn how to, okay, what is the next best sentence? And I think that really forced him, again, to like get really good at that.
I've been trying to become a better writer, but I'm not yet seeing a tactic I can copy from him, but that's okay. I mean, maybe.
The other thing he said was what really allowed him to fully go for it, instead of, you know, like I think of people who are going after their dreams. They have a dream to, you know, follow their dream career or create this beautiful vision for a family and find their life partner, whatever it is, right? And oftentimes we go like 60%, 70% intensity, rather than, okay, let me go and approach 10 strangers that I find attractive until I find my life partner. Let me take the most violent action possible towards reaching my financial goals, whatever it is, right? And I asked him, like, what makes you just go for it, like, so hardcore? And his key thing is just making peace with the worst case scenario, right? So when he was moving back to Mexico, there was that worry that the cartel would catch him. But he thought about, okay, what's the worst case? Well, the worst case is they kill me, and I'm fine with that. And that's kind of an epic way to die, he said. And then he just goes for it, right? So I think there's so much value in getting very clear on what am I afraid of that makes me not fully go for it, and is that really that bad? And then how can I make peace with that, right? Like, whatever it is, whatever worry we have that has us, you know, take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, like, is there a way that we can make peace with that fear that we have that, oh, what if everything goes to shit? Then this is going to happen. Can I live with that? And I think it creates a freedom that makes you just go much more enthusiastically after what you want.
That's amazing. What an amazing story.
And then he also had some wisdom about dating. Like, he's in a very unique position. So I'm just going to go ahead and link the episode below so you can check it out if you want to hear more about that and all the other things that he got into. So check it out, and I'll see you over there. But yeah, that was a very special episode. Unfortunately, the video ended up being very laggy, but I think it's still worth putting out 100%. So yeah, that was that. That was the real life David Goggins that I met.
It's just kind of amazing you can have a life that's that bad. Like, it sounds crass to say it that way, but like, But usually people don't get all like 20 of those. They get like, oh, I had a terrible disease as a kid, or oh, I'm very disabled, or the cartel was after me. Not like all of the above 10 times. Like that is so much.
It makes you wonder, there's got to be some higher order that's like, okay, your purpose is to show resilience and, teach people how to,
He's like the inverse of, more than the inverse of David Goggins, he's more like the inverse of Brian Johnson. Like he's doing everything possible to die and somehow not dying.
Yes. Yeah, maybe he has some advice to Brian Johnson. Like, here's how to not die from someone who's been to the edge so many times. Dude, on a lighter note, The Red Rising, fiction book. It's a series of 6 books. I just finished the first one. And I mentioned it briefly before. I'm reading it and I got hooked immediately. I find myself reading about an hour of fiction before bed now. And maybe that's what's been keeping me up, actually. I've been sleeping very badly. But, dude, I highly recommend the Red Rising series. It is very good. Like, you can't read a nonfiction book before bed because you get excited about the ideas that, time management, whatever. Oh, I should totally implement that into my life. Oh, I'm thinking I got to think bigger, whatever it is, right? Like, I get excited reading nonfiction books, and terrible idea to do before sleep. Fiction has been my go-to. The Red Rising series. Not only are there books still coming out, as far as I know, I think there's one more book coming out, but also they're working on a series, on a show. And so it's one of those where you have something to look forward to, and just start reading it, guys. Like, just read it. Trust me.
What's it about? Hook me.
So it's about a guy in a wheelchair. No.
It's about John Morrow.
Yeah, written by him. It is about... It's almost like Hunger Games, specifically the first book, where there's a young chap and a bunch of horrible stuff happens to him. And there's a society with different classes, and he's at the very bottom, and he's beefing with the people at the top. There's a lot of oppression, injustice, and a level of defiance that will inspire you. And it'll be very productive for you to read it.
Awesome.
Did I sell you on it? Are you hooked?
I'll give it a shot. I'm reading Dune. I'm on the 3rd Dune book.
That's the only book series that I'll allow you to read before that. Anything else, drop it immediately. Drop it. You're reading the
Understood.
Bible? Listen. Is the Bible nonfiction? Yeah. Is it?
I think the Bible is the best personal development book.
Well, it stood the test of time. It's the #1 best-selling book in the world. Right? So, but whether the Bible is fiction or nonfiction, that's a controversial topic, I just realized. So we're not going to get into that. But I'm in full support of Jesus. Dude, one more thing I've been thinking about recently. It's this idea of playing life in hard mode. So whatever goal you're after right now, chances are it could be way easier, but you're choosing to do it the hard way. And how did I learn this? From my dumb self. So for example, one clear sign that you're playing life in hard mode is that when you look in the mirror, you notice that you're ugly. Did you know life is much easier when you're just good looking? So just be good looking. That was not actually the example that I was going to give. Here's the thing. If you're going after a goal right now, and it feels difficult, which most goals are, there's oftentimes, this is what I found, there's oftentimes one expectation that I'm holding on to that is just holding me back massively, right? And once I let go of that one expectation, like, oh, it should be this way, results just flow so much more easily, and it just gets so much easier. And it's like, there's like this trade-off that you're not willing to make. So the biggest example I can think of right now, and I've had plenty of examples like this in my life, is I had this one expectation that, hey, when I'm making a podcast, I need to have this loyal audience and viewership that listen every week consistently. I don't want to have ups and downs in the views. I had this massively in the previous channel, right, where I would have 3 million views in one video and then the next upload got 30,000 views. And it would crush the business. It would crush the spirit of myself and my team. And it made it so difficult to predict. And I was like, I just want a loyal audience. If I could get 100,000 views consistently on every video and people would just listen every time, that would be great. And I've been trying to squeeze like this podcast into this format where, okay, it doesn't matter who the guest is. It doesn't matter what the topics are. I want people to consistently listen and not have these ups and downs. But it's almost like I'm fighting reality with this. And it's like, where am I fighting reality? Where am I having an expectation that is just so difficult to squeeze into a box? And the personal development audience, people that are productively wanting to listen to something, yes, you can get consistent viewership, and it's much harder to grow than just like going viral one time. I can do that day and night. I've done that for the last 4 or 5 years. I've done it consistently. Every video, if you look at my channel, the first 50 videos I made before doing the podcasts, I got 50 million views in total, long form views. So it's an average of 1 million views per video. So I can do that, but getting a consistent audience, that's difficult for me. But the thing about the personal development audience is that they're very picky. They want to specifically listen to things that addresses things that they currently go through. And yes, they can also be a loyal audience. They can be consistency, but it's harder to get. And trying to get them to watch every single episode is very difficult. And now that I've let go of that expectation, I'm like, hey, let's just separate the guests and separate the driven show, just you and I and maybe some friends that we might have on, whatever. That's just like a weekly show without guests. Separating that makes it so much easier and lets go of that like, oh, it has to be this way, right? Same thing with a friend of mine who he's running an agency with, he's got like 18 clients or something like that. And he has this expectation that he must have as many clients as possible to show that he's credible. That, because he looks at people that are just like selling a course and he's like, oh, they don't even know what they're talking about. I'm in the weeds. I'm doing it. And meanwhile, I'm telling him like, hey, just if you just step back a little bit, you got less clients and just work with 3 to 5 clients, and the rest you just sell information, which he has a very specific niche, a very, very specific tactical thing. It's not a guru course. It's like, hey, here's how you solve this specific problem in this niche, in this industry. It's very technical. You would make so much more money, and you would be able to serve so many more people, and everything would be easier. Everybody would be happy. Everybody would win more. But he just has his expectation, like it has to be this way. And then with relationships, when you have an expectation, okay, I want my partner to be super attractive, but they can't have anyone else hitting on them, right? You kind of gotta let go of one of them, right? Or I think a common one that I see is they should be my best friend, but also be this super passionate lover, where there's like all this mystery and there's like, it's like they're kind of at odds with each other. So like it's almost like you got to pick one. I don't know. Can you relate to any of these?
I can relate to a bunch of those. I mean, with the loyal audience thing, the way I reframe that is you had a loyal audience, and that loyal audience was like when the 50,000 viewers would come on one of the videos, like that's probably the loyal audience.
Yeah.
And, it's like that concept of 1,000 true fans. Like if you have a small amount of people who are ride or dies, they enable you to take the bigger swings, and then that bigger swing gets 5 million or whatever it is. And being at peace with that. I was certainly one of the loyal viewers. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think because like there are people who I'm like musical artists who, even if they put out an album that's not their best album, like I'm playing it on repeat and I'm listening to every song or whatever. But you can see on Spotify, some songs are going to get like 1 billion streams and others are not. They're going to get maybe a few million. And it's like, I think sometimes being attached to like the top performing, like outlying thing, it's like, you don't want a consistent audience. You want a consistent audience that's the size of the viral audience. And that's the part that's not in alignment with reality.
And I think everybody listening right now, there's something like this in your life. There's one expectation or one thing that you're holding on to, like, oh, it should be this way, and it just doesn't align with reality. And if you use a ton of brute force, maybe you can make it happen. But if you just were to let go of it, you might realize it's not that important anyway, and results just flow easily. Like another one I can think of is this video I made years ago, which was why you can't find your passion. And it was one of the most impactful videos for people. Honestly, I think people were raving about it. And the comments were some of the best comments I've ever gotten, honestly, because people were just like, wow, like this changed my life. Like I finally found what I was passionate about. And all I did was I was dismantling certain expectations people were having, right? One of them is I should enjoy my passion every day. And if I feel resistance to do something, if I feel procrastination, whatever, then it's probably not my passion. I shouldn't have to push myself if it's my passion. Like I want something that is just easy. And that's just not realistic. It's just not in alignment with reality, right? Or also another one is it should be something that's easily monetizable, right? Like if my passion is comic books, then I have to be a comic book designer or writer or publisher. Like it's got to be something there's got to be a job for it already. I mean, I picked an example where there are jobs around it, right? But like there's some stuff where I'm like, I just love being in nature. And or even that you can find something easily, but people are just like, well, you can't really make money with that. But like, you gotta let go of that expectation that it's like this obviously massively scalable thing. But at the same time, it's like a dichotomy because you want to think really big and, be picky.
That's like a pet peeve of mine personally. Like, I mean, obviously you need money to live and you gotta make money, right? But I've noticed that, especially with like personal development creators, it's basically like countdown till they're selling a B2B thing. That's what I've noticed is like, yeah, you're going to start off as fitness and in 5 years, you're going to be teaching people how to franchise a gym, right? You're going to start off because you really love yoga, but you're going to end up selling a certification where the selling point is you make so much more money if you're a yoga instructor, right? And I'm not against doing that. Like, that's fine. Like, build your business. That's great. But like, I feel like not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And a lot of people are probably, if they could get to whatever that number is, it's like $100,000 a year, $70,000 a year, where they've done a study and it's like, if you make this much money, like it's diminishing returns on more money. Like if you can find a way to do that and not hate the way you get there, most people don't necessarily want to start a giant business after that. And they'd much rather like have their hobby or compete in an amateur way, because having the restraint of this needs to make money, and not only that, but this needs to make a bajillion trillion dollars, it's like, well, that's going to drastically limit how you approach it. And it's like, that's not personal development. That's like, because when I think of personal development, it's like all parts of you, and the economic part of you is a part of you, but so is the
enjoying everyday life. Yeah,
being happy, like emotional. And it's like, you're more than just an economic unit. Like, make your money, like that's awesome, but there's more to life than that, I think.
Yeah, it reminds me of a buddy of mine who was working in corporate, and he was probably making multiple six figures a year, and he was running a YouTube channel that was already making six figures, but not multiple six figures. And he was like, I'm only going to quit my job once I replace my income. I'm like, how much do you need per month? Oh, like only like the 5, 6, 7, whatever the number is, K per month. I'm like, you can quit right now and you're only working part-time on your channel. What if you just went full-time? And he was like, oh yeah. But I want to replace my, it's like, again, this one expectation.
Greedy.
you just let go of that. And
Your friend's a greedy pig.
yeah, greedy pig. And he has a very successful YouTube channel now who's crushing it. Maybe I'll shout him out. His name is Shervin Shares. He's got a great YouTube channel.
Oh, I think I'm subscribed to that guy.
Great.
Now I know he's a greedy pig.
The reason why I'm sharing that is because he was on the channel. Like, we talked about this on the channel. It was the video helping subscribers quit their job. And that was an easy one. It's like, hey, you really have nothing to lose because you could just get a job again if it doesn't work out. Anyways, it's like one of these decisions where oftentimes you have these decisions that are like a trilemma. You know, a dilemma is if you're like, oh, should I pick A or B? But a trilemma is you have 3 options, but you can only pick 2. And so with money, the trilemma is you can have easy money, you can have lots of money, and you can have long-term money, but you can only pick 2. So if you want easy money and lots of money, it's not going to be long-term. You're probably going to be starting some short-term business model that's not going to last, or you're going to do a scam, right? Or something, you know. If you want lots of money and long-term money, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to build a legit business. If you're picking easy money and long-term money, it's not going to be lots of money because you're just going to be investing in index funds. There's very easy money and it's long-term money, but it's not lots. You're going to get, 4%, 6% with or without inflation? You know, you got to pick 2. And same thing with when you're getting a service. You're getting someone from TaskRabbit to, set up your studio. You can have fast, cheap, or good. You can only pick 2. And I'm sure there's also something with relationships or with running a podcast or specifically your business that you're pursuing or your vision that you're pursuing. There's some trade-off you got to make. And yeah, I think the key question to ask yourself is just what's the one expectation that if I dropped it would make getting the result much easier?
I think that whatever that expectation is, that probably has a lot to do with like where that point of diminishing returns is. So like when you were talking about like index funds, for example, right? Like it'd be reasonable to be like, you know, I want to plan a little bit for the future. I want to have some money in there. There's like a Tony Robbins clip or maybe it's some other guy, but where it's like, based on the way compounding works and the average rates in the S&P or whatever, right? Like 10% a year or whatever. If you put like $28,000, I think it is, then over 35 years, like you will have $1 million in there. And obviously you adjust that for inflation and blah, blah, blah. But like you basically put that principle and it's like, I'm sure if you lived super frugal for 2 or 3 years and you had a decent job, you could put that 28,000 away and know I'm going to have $1 million. And then you can ease up and then you can be like, well, now I'll be more risky, right? Because it's like the choice you make doesn't have to be forever. You can do the trilemma for a period of time until you hit the goal, hit the threshold, and then you can totally switch it up.
Or you just pursue short-term money, scam a bunch of people, and then invest it in index funds, hack the system. But then you can have lots of money, good money, and also moral money. You can't do it morally. There's probably another one in there. Yeah.
I do love all the money mindset guys who are like, if you believe having money makes you evil, you'll never have money. And it's like, that's true, but there are quite a few demons from hell that are rich as heck. So
one more thing I got to talk to you about. Maybe there's more things. We'll see how much we talk about this. But dude, I got suggested these videos and immediately clicked. And it's a new show that's out. Couples Therapy. Have you heard of it?
Not the show. I'm aware of what couples therapy is.
It is a reality TV kind of thing, but it's not trashy. It's not. I wouldn't watch it if it was. It's highly produced. It's a phenomenal therapist. And there's these couples that have all sorts of issues. And you learn so much about human behavior, communication, and relationships just watching it.
Like what? Like the whole episode is like a couple with a therapist?
Yeah.
Or is it like a game show?
No. It's just a couple that's like, hey, we need to try therapy. Let's do it. Let's have a look at this clip here. And by the way, we're reacting to this clip, couples therapy people. This is not copyright. This is fair use. We're reacting to it. We're gonna make funny jokes. We're gonna make faces. We're gonna go, wah! We can use this clip.
We're going to
Right?
insult the contestants.
Yeah, we're gonna make something original from this. So just watch this.
She's really well behaved when she's here with you. She listens, and I feel like there's an actual dialogue, and
Look at her boiling already.
She's really well behaved. Good dog. Good doggy.
Yeah, but he's gotta. I feel like I gotta open up a little bit here. My first relationship in my early 20s, I went to couples therapy. And boy, did I have an experience. Did I learn things. Especially as a man, if you're with a specific type of woman, I can relate a lot to this guy. So let's just watch this.
Okay.
And I feel like even when she's talking about her feelings, she communicates in a more effective way. But whenever we try to do it on our own, it's completely different.
Do you understand what Will is saying?
Yeah. I call bullshit.
Whoa.
Okay, but that's exactly the opposite of what I'm asking you.
Look at him. He's like, okay, I have somebody else here. Hopefully, please, am I here gaslit here, or is she really that crazy, or am I really the problem? Because I could relate so much to that. I can tell you a whole story after this if you're interested, but maybe it's not. But
Let's just
This is
note.
why I don't tell you anything. Because
Right. So
according to you,
exactly.
everything I say,
Yeah.
everything
So-
that comes out of my mouth is bullshit, so why bother?
Okay, well
Right,
then
so
don't
we'll-
then. Then shut up. Because
I'm
you're
sorry. What is this?
he likes to think that he is this person where, I'm trying to communicate, I'm the peacemaker and blah blah blah. He is not. He is not.
Okay, so do you want to do therapy?
I thought that's what we were here for.
Okay, so abusing each other is not therapeutic.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
don't.
dude, the power of having a third party who's an effective communicator, which this therapist seems to be, I feel like that's like an incredible hack. I'm already thinking about the AI solutions that could come from this. And yes, AI doomers, I'm sorry. I think AI can really support with this. But you're having an argument with your girlfriend, and the AI just is just like, hang on. What you're saying, is that really true? Is that really what's this other person's experience? Like that, dude, it would be a game changer. But anyways, let's finish this clip.
I'm trying not to, which is why
So,
I'm
ping,
on my best
ping,
behavior.
Look at me.
I am looking
And
at
try
you.
to follow my advice.
Okay.
What you're doing right now is destructive. It's not therapy. So just don't do it now.
I understand his frustration with me. I understand that he doesn't know how to handle it when I get angry because he just sees the anger and he doesn't see what is underneath it.
In previous therapies, when you got to this point, what happened?
I'm not sure we've gotten this far.
We were allowed to kind of just fight with each other to the point where
That's
the
not
person's
helpful.
just like, okay, well,
Yeah.
what do you want to do? At one point, I'm just
That's not what happened. Is the therapist said something you didn't like, then she gets triggered and she blows up, and we fire the therapist.
Apparently, based on I think it was a podcast I listened to. A lot of therapists, couples therapists, are trained just through experience that you do not want to talk about the woman's challenges first, because she's oftentimes the decision maker and she's the one that goes, nope, we're not going to work with this therapist. She doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And you just lose your clients.
Wow.
And that's an experience I had going to couples therapy. My first relationship was very tumultuous. It was also very beautiful, but also when it was going low, it was very bad. It was, there was physical abuse, which was fine because she was 5 feet tall and it was cute. But, it's not like you know, it felt like I was like, oh my God, I'm
Leon, it's
worthless.
not okay to hit her just because she's 5 feet tall and cute.
No. I'm glad you clarified that. It was the other way around.
Oh, Leon, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
It's cute when you. No. It was not good. It was not good. But it wasn't this thing where it's like because she was getting physical, and it wasn't like crazy. I mean, depends on what you mean, but it depends on what your tolerance is for it. But I can deal with conflict very well. I grew up in a family where there was shouting, there was, there was insults, like I'm very comfortable with that. But we went to couples therapy because I wanted to work things out, and all the therapy was around she's upset that I don't do the dishes, and I just realized it's not about the dishes at all, because when I would do the dishes, it's when I see this in this series, it's so funny to me that they talk about the dishes and stuff like that, because it's never about that. It's never about that. It's always about something underneath. So there was this one couple who was talking about, hey, I got a calendar for all my family, and different people could pick a different marker for their events. And I asked my husband to pick a color, and he didn't want to. And then we had a big fight because he didn't want to pick his color for the marker. And it's just like, what is it really about? There's always something underneath, right? And so I realized with her, it didn't matter whether I did the dishes, cleaned the house, sweep the whatever, did the laundry. She would come home already pissed and look for a reason for why she can be pissed at me, and then give me the cold shoulder for basically until I would break, until I'd be like, okay, I cannot exist. We were living together, right? And so she's an awesome human being. I do not say that she's a terrible human being, but the worst came out in both of us. So she brought up some parts that I've never seen before in myself, and also have never witnessed again. Like, my relationship now is the best it's ever been, and the one after that one was also like night and day. I was like, okay, great, it's not me, I guess. And of course I have plenty of things to work on as well, but she was already pissed. It wasn't the dishes, it wasn't the laundry or whatever. She was angry, and she didn't know why, but she was angry, and it was bad. But in the therapy, long story short, it was always about that. And it's like, listen, it doesn't matter. I can do every single thing around the house. There's something underneath it. And I even got to the point where I talked to her dad, and he was like, but why don't you do the dishes? And I'm like, please. It's not about that. It's not about that.
And he's not 5 feet, so this is looking scary for you now.
Yeah. And I ended up in the therapy working on myself a lot and trying to find, okay, how can I take charge of the situation, that when she is like that and she gives me the cold shoulder, and the cold shoulder, I mean, is like, she doesn't look at me, she doesn't respond to me. When I talk to her, she just walks past me. And that would go on until it's unbearable. It's like, that's way more painful than any physical abuse. But apart from that, she was amazing. It was really fun, and she's a great person. But there's like this shadow side, right, that came out. So I don't want to make her a bad person at all. And I left her in one of the therapy sessions. I said, that's it. I'm done. And that decision also meant that I had to leave Australia. I had 28 days to leave the country after I broke up with her. So that's why the stakes were so high. I'm like, I want to make this work. I could have stayed with her for another 6 months and gotten a green card to live in Australia for the rest of my life. But I couldn't imagine myself staying for another 6 months, getting the green card, and then breaking up with her. Because I was also close with her family and everything. And man, this show gives me a sense of, it's just, I can relate to a lot of the stuff here. And the therapist, we were always talking about my stuff and like, oh, Leon, like how, why don't you do the dishes? Why did it? I'm like, it's not about that. Like, I can do everything. It doesn't matter. Like, and I also think that if we talked about her stuff, the therapist was the wrong one because she doesn't get it. And you could just see this guy in this clip going, oh, thank God, the therapist, she sees it too. Like, I'm not crazy. Because I felt after every fight, which was every weekend, horrible, very, very bad fights, I felt like, okay, I just need to man up. I just need to be the leader. I just need to like be there for her. And like, there's something within me that needs to learn how to deal with this crazy feminine being here that because there's something missing within me. And I always took everything on. And at the end of the relationship, I left with something that a lot of toxic people believe, 100%, is I think she was the problem. That's it. And again, I threw like this whole story at you, but what do you think? Have you ever done couples therapy? Have you ever thought about it?
I've never done couples therapy. We have, this past weekend, I was just up at a family friend's cottage, and it's a couple, and one of them is a therapist. And when there's a good one who can, because I did like personal therapy one time, not like a couples thing. But it was with a friend who was getting certified and was a business associate of mine. And I was like, I'll be your first client. It's just like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. And he was doing like some Jungian therapy thing that I think is a cult. Maybe we should get him on the podcast, talk to him. He's a good dream interpreter. You want to do an episode on dreams? I don't know. But anyway, so that was fun while it lasted. But I've never done couples therapy.
I would recommend it when you don't need it.
Right, because it's like preventative.
You're about to get married, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You just learn tools that are just really helpful. And oftentimes people go to therapy when it's way too late. It's just too, like, you see the resentment in these couples.
Oh, yeah.
And dude, there's certain patterns that I'm noticing with the therapist. She always asks for clarification. When the woman says, oh, I feel my frustration, she goes with, right? And so I think that's a very good tool in relationships. Getting very clear on what is this person saying and what do they mean. And another pattern I've seen where a lot of conflict exists is one person tells their side of the story, and like this woman, she was like moving in with her husband, terrible move. They already had a ton of fights and then they moved in together. It's just so, you guys are dumb. Like, anyways, he's like, go ahead.
No, you go.
He's like, I do need my own space. So I would love to have one of these Murphy beds, one of these beds that is like a closet and I can pull it in and out. So I have my own mattress, I have my own little space. We still live together. And she was saying like, yeah, like he basically said he doesn't love me and he doesn't want to live with me. And then the therapist goes, is what comes up for you? Is that what you said? He's like, that's not what I said at all. I said, I looking forward to moving in with her. I feel a little bit worried because I do like my own space. And so she was just saying, that like, this is what he said. But basically what it means is da 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 da. And it's just like, I think the core conflict is that people are not on the same page. And like, you have to have that mutual understanding of like, this is what we're both looking at, because you see this again and again and again in all these sessions. They have different stories. Like one person says, they don't want to be around me. They don't want to spend time with me. And the other person says, no, that's not what I said. I said, I value my time by myself. And it's like, it's very funny and empowering to witness when you're not the person in the seat, because it's so clear. You can so clearly see it. And I bet that this person is going to help, this series is going to help a lot of people with their relationships. So I would encourage you to check it out on YouTube. What were you going to say earlier?
Well, first off, I'm definitely down to check the show out. The reality, we've been watching a lot of Love Island in this household.
Oh, and, God. It's not reality TV at all. It's not gossipy or anything like that. I just want to make that clear. It's
But one of the things that Emma's enjoyed about Love Island is that you get, I mean, obviously it's like a totally artificial fake and it's like people just meeting each other for the first time, but you do get to see the patterns in how men and women can like talk right past each other, where like men will tend to behave or speak in a certain pattern and then women get this miscommunication from it, and then vice versa, women will do something and men misunderstand it, or there are like these failure modes that are more common. And I would love to see that in an actual setting. That'd be very interesting. But what I was going to say was I have been watching a lot of Dr. K recently, and he did a video. I won't get into it because it doesn't too long to set up the context, but he was doing like kind of a therapy session live stream with another content creator, and who had gotten into some big drama recently, and his audience was like abandoning him and other creators were hating on him. And it was
That's
like this
interesting.
yeah, I'll send you the link. Maybe we could talk about it next time. But he was doing this 3-hour breakdown of like, okay, so tell me what happened. Okay, how did that make you feel? Blah, 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 blah. And at a certain point, like you hear him looping, right? Where he's like going into the same like logical fallacy over and over to explain and justify how he feels about it. And the most powerful like thing I ever heard, like the therapist, Dr. K said, "What are you hearing me say to you right now?" And
Yes.
like that, just because immediately it's like you're feeling something valid in response to something that if I actually said it, fair game, you must be misunderstanding or I'm miscommunicating. And like that, like I'm copping that. I'm stealing that. I don't need the rest of the therapy degree. I don't need the PhD. I don't need it. I'm just taking that question. What are you hearing me say to you right now? I'm going to go around saying that to strangers.
Imagine you in the line to Starbucks. You're just ordering a normal coffee. What are you hearing me say? Coffee with a little bit of milk and some sugar? That's right.
Like, did I say a little bit of milk or did I say a touch of milk? Let's listening ears.
And
Let's
what
go.
does each mean?
What's that bringing up for you right now?
Yeah, one of the things that we say in our relationship is what's or just in general, language that I use a lot is what's landing for you. Like what are you receiving? What's landing? Yeah, that's one of the core skills. It's just getting on the same page, 100%. Because you can't really solve a problem if you don't agree on what the problem is. This couple right here, fascinating. So this woman here, in the comments, people are like, "Oh my God, she's so annoying. She's just berating her husband," basically, right? TLDR, this woman seems very upset with this man, and people in the comments are like, "Oh my God, she's so annoying. She's expecting all these things." But I do feel for her because it seems like she married a guy without ambition and she's doing a lot of the work. And I think it's a common pattern nowadays where, women are achieving so much, they're empowered, they have jobs that earn really well, and they're also the ones who, have to make the babies and have to give birth, right? We can't really swap that. And so I do actually feel for her.
And I feel like our marriage is that I am running with all my might. I'm running as
dead
fast
weight.
as I possibly can. And he's inching along, saying, "It's okay, we'll get there." That has been our marriage, and I'm just tied to him.
Completely what I see right here.
Yes.
Yes. I see how hard you're working. I get it. Where are you?
He thinks it's hysterical.
No.
But you're still doing the work.
I'm like, in
thinking
terms like
that
this,
if
I'm
you-
ready.
This again, she always goes back to the other person. What's your experience? And so she does this like matching, like, hey, are we on the same page? Which I think is, man, there's things you can do in your own relationship like this. And then the funny thing is she immediately jumps in.
to just punch him in the face.
But you're doing so much work.
And it's
Let me do some
exhausting to
work.
me. Stop it. Why do you find this funny?
Why do you think I find this
feel
funny?
like I just hate him so much. I can't stand being around him. I'm sitting here and I want to get somewhere and I want to fix it. And it's not as though I've sat back for the past 10 years of our marriage and said, you know what? I want more children, so I'm just going to sit around on my ass and eat bonbons and pop out kid after kid. And
Like, it just keeps going on like that. There's multiple sessions. I saw another session on YouTube where they were sitting next to each other on Zoom, and she's just like, I just want to punch him in the face. He's working from home, and he was supposed to help me with the kids and stuff like that, and he's working his job from home, and I see him, and he's just watching TV, and then he's not getting anything done, and I do more in one day than he does in an entire week. And he's like, I do also work hard, but I don't know. I have empathy for the woman. Crazy? Am I crazy?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know what these people's lives are from 20 seconds of a video, but I think that's definitely a common dynamic where like you can trade certain things, but not the biological reality part of it. That is tough. And like, especially with the working from home thing that you said, like I remember part of like during the pandemic, one of the big, cultural news stories was about how like so many couples are breaking up because they're finally around each other during the workday for the first time, and it's making them hate each other because either, maybe you're a really nice husband to me, but at work you're this domineering asshole or something like that, and I don't like how you talk to your employees, or oh, actually you don't work that hard and you're kind of lazy, or like, oh, most of your job is just like gossip, like I don't like that. And it's like people who haven't seen another part, or they just don't like each other and they're forced to be around each other and they're now realizing it. That's totally a huge thing.
Yeah, and she wants to have another kid. I don't know why. But I think, man, it's just tough when you've married someone. When you've married a man as a woman who you just lose respect for because he's not providing, he's not crushing it, and that's something that you need.
Was that their dynamic? She was crushing it in the career and like raising the kids, and he was like not doing anything.
I don't even know if she is. I think she's mostly at home, but he's been saying for the last 10 years that he's gonna grow his law firm, and she's like, "How is that going? Like you're not really doing anything. You're sitting on the couch, you're watching TV." And he's like, "I'm working on it. It's difficult." But it's so I kind of get it. If you're like, and it's okay to marry someone who's not ambitious, 100%. I'm not saying that, but it's like, it seems like she thought he was, and maybe he portrayed himself that way, and then that's just tough. I don't know. One more thing, and then we'll finish. I don't want to make. Is this interesting? Even am I too really obsessed with this?
I'm into it. I mean, I feel like so much of like the common reaction to couples therapy stuff is that there's one person who's like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. And then the other person's like, help me. Like, please help. Because it's like, oh, if you can't handle my awful traits, then you don't deserve my good traits. And then the other person's like, wait a minute, but like, when do I get to see your good trait? Why do I have to work to not be like yelled at and abused?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can't be patient with my bad traits, that's your bad trait. You're not being patient. And it's like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's so tough for people to see, like, to have a certain level of self-awareness around that. This clip here is a really good example of that too. Of just, you're with someone who there's just no hope, I think.
I'm being sincere when you already have it. It's not missing from your relationship.
Just say it again. Even if you're doing that effort, you can just say, here's what I'm trying to do.
Here's what I'm already successful at doing.
That's not the same thing.
So basically, this guy is just a total narcissist. Anything that they find with like, hey, maybe you could communicate that better, he's like, I'm already perfectly communicating that. And so, so when he's like, hey, here's what I'm trying to say, he wants to communicate better. It's like, why don't you say that? Like, hey, here's what I'm trying to say. That's like he's making himself too small, he thinks. So he's like, by the way, here's what I'm already successful at telling you.
You know what I want to see? I want to see John Morrow on the show with one of his girlfriends.
Oh, dude, that would be phenomenal.
Because the therapist would just go like, I can't even help you. You've passed my level.
Yeah. I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. He was sharing some really beautiful lessons about his relationships, and but check out the rest of this one here.
I think you'll get way more traction if you say, rather than say, I've been doing it all this time, is if you say, I can try harder to not be dismissive. What triggers me is when you talk to me in this way or that way, but I still want to keep making the effort to be respectful.
Yeah, that's insulting.
To whom?
To me. It's a
Bear
ridiculous.
that insult.
thing to say.
Bear that insult. It'll be good for your
No,
marriage.
I won't do it, and I don't want it. If you were to give me everything I ever wanted by doing that, I'd say no. I'd rather have nothing than have that.
I have no idea what those two people are talking about.
So he does not want to use language that's more supportive for his wife, which is, hey, what I'm trying to do here is, get you to understand. I'm just making an effort here. They just want him to say that, but instead he's saying, I'm already doing this. What's wrong with you? And she's like, why didn't you say that? And he's like, oh, because that's insulting to me. Why would I say that I'm trying harder? That's so insulting. And she's like, bear that insult. It'll be good for your marriage, which I think is a phenomenal line from the therapist. And he just goes, you could give me everything I wanted by doing that, and I would still not do it. I would rather have nothing than just say, hey, I'm making an effort here. So that guy's just a total narcissist, and I feel horrible for the woman. And also, major red flag on her end that she's with a guy like that. Like, how are you married for over 20 years with a guy who can't even change his language because it's insulting to him? And he's like, there's some wild things he said in the whole session. Anyways.
You can see body language. So, well, that one, really, you could see body language. I feel like watching the show overall, you could watch it on mute or put it like people who don't speak English could watch it and not understand what's being said and just the tone of voice. Because just like you can see these patterns that are so obvious. Like the dude was like with his arms back. He's like, oh, I just, and it's like, oh, you think you're God. Like you want her,
Yes.
You want people to feed you grapes constantly.
That's
that are
literally
peeled.
there's literally moments where he says that, where he's like, I don't want to have to ask for things. You should just know when I want water, and I just want
That
the water
right
there.
That eyebrow thing with the like, fuck you. I hate. He'll never watch this. He's too busy like getting an olive oil massage at 2 p.m. But like the only other time, not the only other time, but the most recent time I've seen that body language was very off topic. Jeffrey Epstein pleading the fifth to a police officer. I swear to God, they're just like, so do you want to answer this question? And he's just like, I would love to, but I'm gonna have to plead the fifth.
Oh God!
And I'm just
I
like,
want to see release the Epstein couple therapy sessions.
It might go deeper than couples therapy on that one, but yeah.
Oh God, thruples and quadruples. Oh God. Check out the show on YouTube, and you're gonna learn a lot. I'm curious. Again, it's not reality TV.
That's just reality.
It's just reality.
I wonder how being on camera affects that. Like that one couple, the first one you showed me, where the therapist was like, what happens when you usually get to this point? And the guy says, well, usually you'd be fired. By this point, we don't get this far. And it's like, oh, does being on camera and they're like evidence being produced of your behavior that's going to be shown to the general population, like does that probably makes you change what you're doing, right?
I would imagine, but the way these people are behaving, I think they hid the cameras perfectly, and it almost feels like they didn't know they were being recorded. It's so authentic, and they share things that are really uncomfortable, like things that you don't want to have out there in public, and now hundreds of thousands of people are talking about it online. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they signed up for it. I don't know what contract they got tricked into. I don't know, but it's fascinating and very, very raw, and it's beautiful. You see so many human emotions in there, and just human moments where there's so much frustration and so much like anger underneath, or fear and pain underneath anger, and it's beautiful. There's some really beautiful moments, and man, I think, I don't know, part of me is like, I would like to be a therapist. I would really enjoy this work. But at the same time, it's a lot to bear. So, yeah, dude, some of these couples, man.
I feel like being a therapist, there's like the fun part and the not fun part. The fun part is I know exactly what's happening inside your brain and you don't. And then the not fun part is I have to tell you this information in a way that's not going to make you kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes you gonna see before your ego swoops in and makes me the enemy. And yeah, and you'll be surprised because sometimes you think, oh, it's clearly this woman that's the problem. It's clearly the guy. And then when you hear a bit of information, a bit more, and you dig deeper, you're like, oh, I saw this wrong.
Yeah.
And this other person is just really good at looking like, hey, I'm the good communicator in here. But they use it as a power thing, and they know what buttons to push in the other person and be like, well, you're getting angry again. You know, it's fascinating. So lots of lessons here for your own relationships and just human behavior. So check it out. Share this episode with a friend. It is the best way that we grow. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye-bye.